Hello and welcome to another Watercolor Wednesday. Today I'm going to be painting these sunflowers, which I've drawn onto my Arteza sketchbook, my watercolor sketchbook, and I'm going to be painting them. That was the finished product that I just showed just now. I've got the pencil the line work a little bit too dark here, so I'm going to erase it even more. I wanted you to be able to see I have a lovely cup of tea available. It's cinnamon, cranberry, and apple, and it's absolutely delicious. It's a beautiful autumn day here in Cape Town, South Africa, and it's the kind of weather that I absolutely love. So I hope you'll enjoy joining me as we paint these sunflowers. It's quite an easy painting. There's just a little bit of drying time that one has to leave in between, which I sometimes get a bit impatient about. Try not, it's all a lesson in learning to know that you need space for things to develop. So I've just erased this first one enough to start, and I'm going to be using my Prima Marketing Art Philosophy watercolor paints. I have 2 vessels of water, and I have my paper towel and a towel that I use, and a little piece of paper, watercolor paper, to try colors in case I've mixed. They are the Art Philosophy Prima Marketing. The set is called Decadent Pies. I bought them on Amazon, and I think they've got some nice colors that would work well for sunflowers. So I'm going to try these for this particular image, and I'm just popping that one piece of paper towel on the facing page to try and stop it getting damaged. So before I start, I just want to spray my paint so that they can start to activate. I've got a kind of a bulldog clip on my page here to try and keep it straight, but the page is quite small, and I have an Emma Lefebvre Craftermo size 8 round brush, and I'm hoping that that's going to be fine. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. I've drawn the circles and the petals. I think if I do this again, I'm not going to draw the whole flower art again, because as I was doing this, I had quite a few issues with there being too much pencil line, even though I erased it and erased it. So now I'm using the color that is called Pistachio Cream, and I think that works quite nicely as a sunflower color, and I'm trying to put the point of my pencil down on point of my paintbrush, forgive me, down at the circle at the center of the sunflower, but I couldn't get rid of enough of the pencil line, so I am semi-drawing this petal with my paintbrush. I must say these Craftermo paintbrushes do have really nice points which help. So this one I'm doing more of a normal petal shape, and I'm going to continue painting like this, and I'll put some music on for you to listen to as I do this, and I'll come back and talk you through anything more that I think might be necessary. Just getting rid of some more pencil marks. So can you believe it? I'm yet again erasing pencil marks because they just seem to be too dark, and I did try to draw them lightly, but the lemon, the yellow for the sunflowers is quite pale, and the beauty of watercolor is its translucence, and so the pencil does tend to shine through. I hope that you enjoyed that last piece of music. It's yet again from Epidemic Sound, where I have a subscription. I love Epidemic Sound. They have such a great choice of music. I'll put a link to them in the more information in case you happen to be a creator of videos as well, because with a subscription, then there's no royalty problem with the music. That particular song was called Days of Old, and I like it. I think it went under the country genre, but to me it reminded me of sort of music that I enjoy. I'm turning my book around and around and around to suit myself because that's how I'm comfortable painting. And I hope that you don't mind that too much. Sometimes there's a little bubble of water that you can see, a little puddle. It's a good idea sometimes to spread that around or to make your brush thirsty and lift it up, because if it's just in the one place, you can get a bit of a mark. I think I'm going to complete some of the rest of these flowers offline now, and then I'll come back when more of the page has been filled. Slightly different. So I've done most of the little flowers, and one of the things I did want to mention is that when I put the dark little dot on the end, I am have been trying to make sure that the petal is still damp so that the color spreads. Now I'm filling in the center and just going to paint that in this color, which is called Apple. I do like these Prima marketing paints. I'll put a link to the set below in case you're interested. They seem to be a really nice quality of paint with a quite fairly well pigmented, and I think they are a professional paint, or they seem better than the student grade paint, so I enjoy them. I have quite a few of the different sets. So I'm going to complete the centers now. And then I'm going to allow this to dry, and I'll come back and do some more petals. I want to be able to layer a little bit, but I don't want any of this to be wet, because otherwise the colours will just become a big mishmash of colour all joined together. So now I'm going to try, I've mixed up a darker mixture of paint, and I wanted to do little dots, but I was not thinking, and that center was still a bit too damp. So it's doing this gorgeous bleed, which I just love. So I've changed to a slightly pointier tipped brush, which is my black velvet, something like that, size 8 brush, which is gorgeous. It's just got a very, very sharp, or not sharp, pointy point. And I'm doing little dots. These are still going to bleed out a little bitty, which will just create a texture. And I'm just going to allow them to do that, and then I'll do finer black dots when everything's dry, and so that the edges are crisp, but it just adds interest and texture. Well, now as you can see, I've added a couple more flowers to make the composition look a bit better, and now I'm mixing up a slightly darker color for the petal. I'm going to add some of this color, which is called Peach Cobbler. Wouldn't I like some of that now? Just to see if that makes a pretty color to do the petals in between. And I'm going to do more or less what I did before and paint these petals, which will fill them up, fill the flowers up more and make them look better. And because of the translucent quality of the watercolors, you can usually see most of the underneath petal as well, which is nice. I can still see that pencil line on the one, so I'm going to try and go over it with my watercolor paint. I hate it when that happens, but never mind. We'll see what this lands looking like. And of course now the two are wet next to each other, so we're probably going to land up with a bit of a blob, but we'll see. And I think I'll put some more music on while I do this. I'm mostly trying to put the point of my brush towards the center as I started. You can see the kind of texture that's been created in the middle of the blooms of the flowers. I'm adding water and then the peach cobbler again. I want to try and get a bit more of this. I don't want every single petal to be the same color. I want the flowers to have some character. So unlike when you're doing a coloring page and you want the thing to look smooth, I sort of feel like when I'm painting, I want them to have character and look more like a natural flower would. But also this painting is not, it's not totally realistic. It's a little bit on the loose side as well, I think. I don't know. Sometimes think I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to do my best and trying to give you guys some encouragement to enjoy your watercolors and paint along with me. Please let me know if you like this kind of content, or if you feel like I'm just wasting my time and your time. So I'm going to continue with the rest of these flowers and put music on while I do this. now, in a way, I'm doing a kind of rinse and repeat and with all of the flowers, and I think I'm going to do the rest of this off camera and come back when I'm doing something different, because I don't want to bore you silly. I'm not sure if you would prefer the whole thing to be done on camera, but I think it's probably fairly repetitive. So I will come back when I've done all of the petals. So here we are with all of the petals done, and I'm now going to use some of this green. I'm not going to mix a green because this is actually a really nice color. It's called, I can't see, key lime. I had it upside down, that's why I couldn't see. I'm wearing the wrong glasses at the moment. So I'm going to do some leaves, but I'm not doing realistic sunflower leaves. I just want to put some greenery in here. I'm not going to do a lot of leaves. And then I'm going to do something just to give texture and greenery to the background. I think I need to put another leaf in here, and then maybe one on the bottom as well to fill the page. I was toying with the idea of possibly doing a stem, but then I thought no, because that kind of creates a precedent of doing a lot of stems. So I want this just to be, this is where, I mean, it's not really realistic. I'm going to do this as if the leaf is behind that petal. So just filling that in as if it were a coloring book page, and then trying to give a little bit of interest to the leaves with some variation in color while they're still damp. Wet on wet really does create the most beautiful kind of soft blends, and I'm going to actually lift some of this color off here to create some interest there. And let's just see if I can always find this part of a painting really difficult, where to put things in. I don't have the greatest eye for these things. I suppose it's got a lot better than it was, and I do try to paint at least every second day, but with the colouring and the painting and the videos, one can't really get everything done. So now I've had this idea. I've got a cotton bud, and I'm just going to do, I've wet the cotton bud and I've also put it in the green paint. I'm going to do little dots to create texture and something totally unrealistic, not leaves, not pretending to be anything, but just to fill up some of the blank spaces. And I'll probably do 2 layers. I'll let this go down and then I'll let it dry, and then I'll put some more on top, because I don't want it to be too kind of clean. I want it to blend and bleed a little bit, which it won't do because the background is dry, but that's why I'm sort of going quickly and sort of trying to be loose and trying not to be exact. It's quite hard not to, with the fear that I might wreck everything I've done. And now I've thought, oh, I can do this to make the little edges of the dots of the sunflowers, but then I was getting green paint all over my hands, so now I'm using a clean cotton bud, and I'm using this dark color which is called pecan, and I'm just doing little, as tidy as I can, dots around the center of each sunflower. And I quite like that effect. I think that's quite nice. Just sort of carefully going around there. I mean, I actually think this, if it was scanned into the computer and then a repeat pattern made, would make a pretty wrapping paper or gift bag or something like that. I think it's one of my better efforts. I've done sunflowers before, but not in this sort of semi-loose style. So I am messing up this facing page. I might just leave it blank, or I might do some gouache on there or something. I'm not quite sure. So I quite like that, and I think I'm going to add some very dark black mixed with a little bit of the brown. I'm using the Daniel Smith Lunar Black, which is a rich dark black, and I'm going to mix that with some of this pecan and going to do tiny little dots in the center that are supposed to represent the sunflower seeds. Wow, magic, half of them are done already, actually 3/4. I'm not sure what I think about the black dots. I think they may be too dark for the rest of it, but they are there, and now I'm still trying to cover up pencil marks with the yellow again. I'm fairly happy with this piece. I, as usual, can see all the things that are wrong with it. Make no mistake about that. But I can see an improvement in my painting, which makes me very happy. And I'd like to thank you, those of you that have been with me on this journey since I started trying to do watercolors. And I hope that you've enjoyed spending some time doing this picture, and I hope that you like the way it's turned out. I'd like to wish you all a creative, wonderful, and happy week. Thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to comment below.